Hello and welcome to another edition of It's Just Our Opinion. This is our 44th show. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope if you love it like I'd love it, and I hadn't even watched it yet. Well, I can't watch it because I hadn't filmed it yet. But I hope you'll share it with everybody that's on your Facebook list. Just share it with everybody. Friends, family, people you don't like. There's people on your Facebook list that you don't really like them, but you like to keep up with what they do because you see them and their husbands always fighting and their grandkids. Everybody's fighting, so you want to watch them. So share it with them too. Just share it with everybody. But 44 shows. I appreciate you tuning in. I know there's somebody watching right now that's saying to themselves, Ray, I've watched every one of them. And I hope you watch this one too. Well, we got a lot of interesting stuff. At least it's interesting to me. I'm sure everybody watched the debate the other night between President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. That was probably the most organized and entertaining debate that I have ever witnessed between presidential candidates. I mean, every time that President Trump would want to get going and trying to explain what he wanted, Mr. Biden would want to interrupt some and throw some jabs in. And I know it's hard to believe, but President Trump done the same thing to him. They kept interrupting each other. And a few times they was hollering over each other. You couldn't even tell what they was saying. And we may have missed some very important stuff during those times, because I bet they wouldn't just be talking to be talking. It had to be very important stuff they was saying. Now, it was kind of interesting to watch, the moderator, Chris Wallace, some of his questions. I mean, you just can't beat that. I mean, when he would ask President Trump a question, President Trump, your policies have killed America and the people are out of work. How do you explain that? And I mean, that's pretty bad. Then he asked Joe Biden a question. It would be, Mr. Biden, you've been such a great asset to this country that we're just so dedicated to you. It's kind of like President Trump had to debate two people. Anybody that watched it knows toward the end, him and Chris Wallace went at it for about 2 minutes there toward the end, and Mr. Biden just stood there like, well, I'll let them fight it out a while. But, that's not really a good moderator. To have a good debate, you need a moderator that's neutral. And, nobody's neutral anymore, but at least you need to act like you are. And so that was really kind of sad. It makes me wonder, should we even have any more debates? If this is what it's going to come to, where we have moderators that picks a side and really it's not fair with both sides, do we really need it? I mean, whether you're Democrat or Republican or not, you want honesty when you have debates. You want to hear what both candidates have to say to really that they think will make America a better place. Do that when they hollering over each other and carrying on. It was kind of sad to see that, and all the talk going back and forth. They never really answered a whole lot of questions in a lot of detail. It was always what this one done or that one done and stuff. And there were several interesting moments. I mean, I sat there and watched, the whole thing. Me and my wife, we just sit there, and I'll have to admit, we laughed a few times because some of the stuff was actually funny. One of the things, of course, was when Mr. Biden said, out of the 200,000 people that's died of COVID, who has survived? How many survived? Well, so far, none of those 200,000 that died is going to survive. They've got surviving family members, but they didn't survive, and that was kind of interesting. And of course, another interesting point was when President Trump asked him to name one law enforcement agency that's endorsed him, and of course, Mr. Biden said he didn't have time to name them all. But President Trump asked him just to name one, and he couldn't do that. So, I know there's people out there endorsing on both sides, and it's going to be interesting. Just to see how this thing comes out. But, my opinion is, and this is my show, so it's my opinion. I say that's the name of it. It's just my opinion or just our opinion. But if they're not really going to be organized and respect each other's time on both, I'd rather not even have any more debates. Let's just vote on this thing, get it over with, and see what happens. But it was interesting. We'll see how the next one goes. And it's just, it ain't too far off. We'll have it. Hey, November's not too far off either, and we'll be voting and get this over with. Another interesting thing, I'm a Subway fan. I love my ham and cheese sandwich with American cheese on it and a little bit of mayonnaise and stuff. And Now, I'm not one that does all this lettuce. I don't like it piled up with lettuce and stuff. If I'm gonna eat a salad, I'll just eat a salad. But Subway in Ireland of all places. Now, I thought them folks were pretty smart over there. But you know, their courts in Ireland, the courts rule that Subway's bread is not legally bread. So I don't know what you ask for if you go in there. If they say you want white bread or wheat bread, I guess you say, well, that's not bread. But anyway, somebody evidently got it in court, and the courts in Ireland has ruled that Subway's bread has too much sugar in it to be considered bread. I guess they call it cookies, and I don't know. But I tell you what, I'm not doing a commercial for Subway here. Now, if anybody from Subway is watching this and they want to send me maybe some coupons for free ham and cheese sandwiches now, since I halfway am advertising, just send them to my website here, and I'll be glad to take them because, hey, I love ham and cheese with a little mayonnaise. Now, I'm a Hellmann's mayonnaise. That's another commercial, ain't it? But anyway, Ireland's court said Subway bread is not bread. Hey, what's the world coming to? You know, another thing, and this happens all the time. I mean, we all know people that die, and we visit the funeral homes, and we stand in line, and you know, a lot of times, you know, there'll be a line way out the door and on around, and you always have somebody that goes up. Now, knowing this line behind us, they'll go up and they'll greet the family and they'll talk to each one, and then they'll want to stand there and tell the stories that them and cousin Molly, me and Miss Molly, we played in high school together, and we done that, and they want to talk for 35 minutes knowing there's 200 people behind. Now, how many of you get irritated when you see that happening? I do. You know, I'm one that when I visit the funeral home, and of course nobody likes to visit the funeral home, but when you do, when your friends and family and stuff die, you have to go. I like to go in and greet the family, and you know, we're always sorry that they had a loved one passed, and you know, you want to pray for them and help them through this, and if I can ever help you, good. I try not to ever tell stories because that holds the line up. You know, a lot of times the funeral home has to stay open later because these people stand in line. Now, sometimes if you get there early and you see there's already a line, you may want to run back and get you some snacks and put in your pocket, because I guarantee you there's going to be some folks that's going to stand there and talk and talk and talk. And so, you know, if you standing there and your wife wants to carry on a conversation, or wives, if you standing there and your husband wants to carry on a conversation with somebody, just kind of don't elbow them real hard, but just kind of punch them. Say, Bob, Betty, there's only 45 people behind us. We need to go see them next week. But anyway, that's something that irritates me, and I bet it does y'all too. And you know, how many talk shows you gonna see that's gonna talk about what goes on at a funeral? But anyway, that's something I just thought I'd throw out there. That's kind of I thought was kind of something we ought to talk about. Another thing, I know y'all seen it last week. Now, you know, we here in Alabama, we don't have metros and all that stuff. But if you go to D.C. and Chicago and Washington, D.C., they all have the. Well, last week, some of the metro associations and stuff, come together and set some rules up that now, after all these years, it is now illegal to use the bathroom on a metro train. Now, I have always thought it was wrong anyway. I've never seen nobody do it. I've never seen a bathroom on one. But now, of all these years, you know, you couldn't eat on them. They kick you off. They catch you eating a sandwich or drinking a Coke. You can't do that. But of all these years, they forgot about it's illegal to use the bathroom on there. That's something now. Be careful if you go to New York or Chicago or Washington, D.C. or some of those places got the metros, because, of course, I'll have to say I've never had to use the restroom on. I've never seen nobody do it, but I'm glad it's finally illegal. You know, another thing I noticed just a few days ago is a Florida woman. Now, I love the lottery. I love the lottery. I've talked about that several times. I love the lottery. They don't play Powerball and Mega Millions without old Ray here having a ticket. Now, we're not going to talk about how much I won. That's another story. But I love to play. Well, there's a Florida lady had bought her lotto ticket. Well, she didn't win the big lotto, but she does a second chance. Florida has a second chance where you mail it in, and win and stuff. Well, she won $1,000. So all the lotto places around her was closed because it's COVID. You have to take it or mail it in. So she mailed her ticket in to get her $1,000. And guess what? She tracked it, watched it so far, and then it come up missing, got lost. So now they don't know where it's at. The post office don't know where it's at. Nobody knows where it's at. And now ain't they talking about doing mail-in ballots? That's another story. But anyway, they lost her $1,000 ticket in the mail. And so she just had to let it go because the time run out and she couldn't claim it because she did try to claim it. She mailed it. But anyway, they didn't get it. That'd be my luck. If I ever won something, I'd probably lose it. But I wouldn't lose it in the mail because I've had carried on this conversation before. If we win that thing, we're going to hold and we're going to drive to wherever we got to go. We ain't even going to fly. We're going to drive and turn it in and get our money. So anyway, but $1,000 gone because lost in the mail. Now this is interesting too. It's kind of COVID related. We don't talk about a lot of COVID stuff on here. We've had so much of that already. We don't need to talk about it. And if you notice, I'm not wearing a mask while I'm sitting here because nobody's around me. But anyway, we don't talk COVID. But I seen today that 3 out of 4 millennials have made cash donations to some organization trying to help out during the pandemic. Now you say there's an age group of millennials. Now what we consider a millennial is between the ages of 25 and 34. Now these people are the ones that's been hit probably the hardest by the pandemic and stuff. A lot of them have lost jobs. A lot of them have had to, when they lost a job, they had to move back in with their parents and doing stuff. But can you imagine 3 out of 4 millennials have made cash donations to some organization or somebody to help out during the pandemic? That's very good. That's pretty good. Now, I know a lot of y'all are figuring out now, 3 out of 4, I wonder what that percentage is. Well, I was pretty good in math. 5% of millennials are giving. I mean, that's good. That's something to be proud of. If you're a millennial and you hadn't give and you're part of that 25%, go ahead and give somebody some money, if it's only a 5 to help them out, because you want to join the other 75% of your age group. And that's something to be proud of. Something else, and I say this COVID related, and we're not talking a lot of COVID, but it's something to be proud of. The Alabama Nursing Home Association has decided to change the rules about visiting nursing homes. Before they've had it blocked out. You couldn't go in visits. You had these where you could, just recently, where you could meet them out in the yard or something. They had a shield in front of you and you couldn't really touch each other, nothing like that. But starting tomorrow, October the 2nd, they're going to start allowing 1 visitor at a time inside the nursing homes. Now that's good because people in a nursing home need to see people. They need visitors. They need that bonding and stuff. I mean, it's already, they're away from their families by being in a nursing home, so they don't need to be in a place where the families are not allowed to come visit. Even if it's 1 at a time, I think it's great. I applaud the Nursing Home Association for doing that because, like I say, this is very important that the people in the nursing homes actually get to come to have visitors while they're there. It's a lonely place sometimes, but those visitors, even one, will really help out. Just so much going on in the country right now that there's no way for me to talk about all of it in a 15-minute segment. But starting to take notes so I can keep up with this stuff. But I really think that we got a lot going on between now and election. I'll mention one more election thing because to me it's halfway comical watching Canada. I mean, they are just bashing each other terrible. Tommy Tuberville is, he's got a commercial now. He's a good guy. I've met him several times. I actually had him on the show twice, so he's been on my show twice. But he's run that one so many times where he walks by the football field and talks about how many wins he's got. You notice he don't ever say he beat Alabama 5 or 6 times. But anyway, he talks about how many wins and talks about his dad. I'm very proud of his dad. All of those people that fought and stormed the beaches at Normandy and stuff. I mean, that's great. But one of the things that I like about Tommy Tuberville, if he wins, and he actually announced it on my show back before the primary, is he's not going to take a salary. He's going to donate his money to the Veterans Associations to help disabled veterans and stuff, and that's something to be proud of. Senator Jones, you know, he has really just talked about Tuberville like he's terrible, but now he's some good commercials too. But you know, I'd like to see them change them up. Don't we all get tired of seeing the same thing? You know, it's kind of like watching an Alabama-Auburn football game over and over. Well, you know how the score's going to end if you watched it the first time, you know. So I'm wanting this to reach out to both campaigns. Coach Tuberville and Senator Jones, get some new commercials. Get some new ones out so we can watch something different. Instead, right now when we hear them come on, we get up and go get our snacks and stuff. We don't sit there and watch them. Get us some new commercials. Anyway, thank you again for watching the show. Hey, I love doing it. I hope you love it. Like I say, get out and share this thing with as many people as you can. Now, there's people watching this right now that's sitting there saying, I don't like what he said. I don't appreciate what he said. What I say about that, hey, my opinion.